Hello and welcome to this edition of Dealing with Brightspace. And today what we're going to be talking about is discussions. Now, discussions is a very popular tool used in online learning, and essentially they are digital bulletin boards that allow us to communicate and interact with our students and have them interact with each other asynchronously. Now, asynchronous means that we don't all have to be online at the same time to participate in this. I could post something in the morning and a student can reply to it that evening. So it allows for lots of flexibility in that way. And we use discussions for all sorts of reasons. We use them to create community when we have a discussion board where people are introducing each other. We create discussion boards that allow individuals to ask questions, get those answers either from the instructor or from each other, and we use them to measure particular learning outcomes. Now, those are special learning outcomes because the ultimate product of a discussion is a group effort. Everybody involved in the discussion. That's what produces that little body of knowledge that we have. So oftentimes instructors will have expectations of their students, not only that they would respond to the instructor's prompt and apply the theory or give an example, but we might also have performance expectations like you will answer my particular prompt a certain length or a certain level of detail, but you will also interact with other students. You'll respond substantively to their posts. And that creates that interaction that we may at some times facilitate in our face-to-face classes. So let's look at how we create these opportunities within Brightspace. So here I am in my sandbox, and I go to the assignments section, and I go to discussions. And you can see that right now there are no discussions in this class. So I want to create a new discussion. Now, in the terminology of Brightspace, what we have are forums and topics. Now, the topics are kind of where it's at. The topics are the individual, let's say in my class, I have multiple chapters or units that we're covering, and I might have a discussion for each one of those. So chapter 1 discussion, chapter 2, and I want to see their performance on each one of those. Those will be topics. The forum is a way of organizing those in kind of a larger categories is how I view it. So for instance, in my classes, I have a forum for non-graded discussions. And in that forum, the topics are questions about the class, the introductions, and kind of a student lounge for people just to post whatever they want. But those are open all the time and available to students all the time. Then in another forum that I call graded discussions, I list all of the ones that I'm going to want them to participate in. So in the graded discussions, I might have chapter 1 discussion, chapter 2 discussion, chapter 3 discussion A, chapter 3 discussion B. I might organize, they'll all be put into that other forum. So you have forums as kind of categories of these, maybe ungraded, not graded, maybe related to a project, not related to a project, however you want to do that. And then the individual items within them are the topics where we want that activity to occur. So if we look back here in Brightspace, we'll see that there's a new forum, new topic. So I'm going to create a new forum, and I'm going to call this Graded Discussions. And there's a little check mark in here where I can create a new topic, but it's just going to call it Graded Discussions. So I'm just going to go save and add topic. And now in the forum of Graded Discussions, I'm going to add chapter 1 discussion. And in the description, again, we have access to all of these tools, like in the video, pictures, links, or whatever. And I'm just going to call this, for the sake of explaining, please introduce yourself to each other. And at this beginning time, I wrote, Please introduce yourself to each other. Remember that you must reply to my prompt and reply to at least 2 others for full credit. Just at the beginning, sort of giving that reminder of what the expectations are going to be when all these discussions. You might put that whenever it's necessary. So here I can, if you want to allow anonymous posts, whether you're going to select a moderator or not. And this is a kind of interesting one here. You check this box. If you want your students to start it, they have to do their main prompt before they can see anybody else's. Now there's different theories about this. Now one theory is I want them to have that performance without copying somebody else. But then there's another theory that says when individuals look at the performance of others, they actually identify individuals who are better than they are, performing better than, and they learn from that person's activity and therefore imitate that and thus perform higher. So it's not necessarily copying, particularly when you can tell pretty easily if it's copying, but imitating the level of expectations of higher performing students can sometimes be a very good thing. So you may select that option to have users start a thread before they can actually see any of them. And then we go up to more tabs here. We have restrictions, and this is the same as everything else, the due dates, availabilities, and whatnot, if there's any conditions and not. And then into assessment, this is where I want to create a graded portion of this. So I'm going to create a new grade item. I'm going to call it Chapter 1 Discussion. And I'm going to grade that at 100. And I'm going to save. Now then, over here, I finish all this. I could add a grading rubric if I wished. And here's an option to allow assessment of individual posts. I really just want to grade the whole thing. So I say save and close. This brings us back to this scene right here. This was empty before. Now we have a forum called Graded Discussions right here, and we have the first topic, Chapter 1 Discussions, right here. And that's it. That's how you create a discussion and the graded component. If it's an ungraded discussion, you wouldn't create the gradebook piece. You would just create the discussion and put it in into the form of ungraded. Now make sure you have to do those forms, so maybe think ahead as to how you want to organize your discussions as either ungraded ones, maybe regular graded ones if you have project graded ones, and you can organize that in your class that way, and that helps your students organize the material as well. So that's it for now. Go ahead and create all those discussions.